am Jayesh J. Ulatil, VP and GM for Inmobi India. Welcome to this exciting panel that we have today, consisting of some of the leaders from some of the most interesting brands and agencies in the country today. Without further ado, let me just get to the part where I introduce the panelists. We have Pankaj Parihar from Godrej Consumer Products Limited. Pankaj, would you like to say a couple of lines about yourself?
Hi everyone. Jayesh, thanks for having us over here. Really looking forward to the session. Hi, I lead Digital Center of Excellence for Godrej Consumer Products Limited, and I also take care of digital transformation and digital commerce for the company. Yeah, that's about myself.
Thanks, Pankaj. That's wonderful to have you. We have Puneet Bekal from one of the leading payment gateways. Puneet.
Yeah, thanks, Jayesh. I'm very happy to be part of this esteemed panel of seasoned marketeers, if I may say so. I have a multi-sectoral experience from CET in my initial days, moving on to Lodha Group, which was in real estate. I've worked for Godrej Group for 8 years in various different functions, from strategy to retail to real estate there too. Now I'm currently working as MasterCard as the director of marketing there.
Thanks, Puneet. We have further from the automobile sector, we have Tarun Jha, who heads Skoda marketing. Tarun, hi.
Hi. So I'm Tarun Jha. I'm responsible for marketing and product at Skoda Auto India. My difference from my other panelists is that I'm more of a user of digital technologies, and we are trying to transform the automotive business, which, as you all know, it actually straddles 3 centuries. So the whole task for us, for the entire industry right now, is to move to the next level, because most of the other industries have moved in that direction. So that's our endeavor.
Apart from the other panelists, we have Neeraj Ruparal from WPP. Apart from being a model, I think he also leads technology, latest technology on the WPP side. I would like Neeraj to talk about what he does for a living.
Thanks, Jayesh, for that fabulous introduction. I lead mobility solutions in emerging tech and do a lot of sci-fi work at WPP and Group M India. So absolutely looking forward to this jam.
Perfect. Thanks everyone joining in. So before we dive into the questions, I know it's been a couple of years which have been really difficult for most of us. And we have lived a life which is totally different from what you have seen till date. I just wanted to hear what has been your experience in the last 24 months.
So it's been pretty challenging because we were on the cusp of transforming the brand completely, with new products being lined up, lots of launches, which we managed to do all of that in the last 18 months. With these conditions, with the pandemic conditions around us, it's been a great learning period for all of us, because we've had to change our thinking. It has had a lot of, let's say, impact on our own personal lives also, because most of us haven't taken a holiday and all that, but we've been driven by something larger than that. So I think what has kept us motivated all this time is the amount of transformation we could bring in. But on the personal front, thankfully, everything has been safe and fine. So not so bad, I would say.
Thanks. That's great to hear, Tarun. I know it's been tough for most of us. I'll probably ask the same question to Pankaj. How has it been for you the last 24 months working?
Oh, it's been Jayesh, it's been a roller coaster ride. From personal front to professional front across in last 18 to 24 months. We have seen a tremendous journey over the last 24 months from the digital transformation point of view. And, I was speaking with you earlier also and mentioned that, how we had taken this journey much earlier than when COVID hit us. But the acceleration part of this journey has been tremendous. Yeah. And I was talking to someone and we were discussing that, what we are hoping to see in 2030, we are seeing in 2021 because of unfortunate event called COVID-19. But it has changed the way people actually look at things, engage with them, and wanting to, be really serious about their health and well-being. So yeah, it's been a crazy last 2 years for most of us.
Thanks.
Just to add to what Pankaj was saying, 2029, I thought only me and Pankaj were fitness conscious, but 2020, almost everyone went for it. Anything which is got immunity written on it, immunity as a keyword took a leapfrog, and everyone kind of went for it. So that's a kind of a striking change what we have seen now. And now 2021, things are getting back to normal. We can see the great Khali selling pizzas, influencer marketing, the video which I was watching today. So things are changing drastically.
Puneet, what's been your take for the last 24 months? How has it been for you?
To be honest, 2021 was much more difficult and challenging than 2020. While we thought 2021 would be easier, but it was not the case at all. But having said that, I think, like Tarun correctly said, it's the time for learning. From a personal point of view, I have learned new skills. I mean, doing a lot more learning, reading books, keeping myself calm with things which will occupy my mind over and above what you typically do for work on a day-to-day basis. So basically taking every day as it is. So that's what it is. Thank you.
Getting on to the specific questions. So I know we have had the last 24 months from a marketing standpoint or from the way media has been consumed. Pankaj touched upon it. Tarun was telling us how his life itself has changed and how his consumption habits have changed. So it definitely has brought in a change in the way we think about marketing, or overall, marketing needs to think as well, because the consumption habits itself has changed. How has it affected, or how has it made a change in the way you plan? How have you been able to make a change in the way you plan vis-a-vis your pre-COVID era to the last 2 years of what you've been doing? Maybe I'll start off with Puneet this time. What has been your thought on that?
So, Jayesh, I mean, like I said, I think partnerships is and will be a key growth and market driver in my view. And this was prior to the pandemic, and also it is fueled during the pandemic, is what I feel. So, for example, partnerships between real estate and retail, or partnerships between a private label and a retailer, or partnership between brands and digital platforms and payment networks like us, or wallets, banks, credit cards. Then there is a whole lending machinery at the back end, which is buy now, pay later, which is now gaining steam. And also because of the pandemic, is fueled about this entire framework of buy now and pay later. Not to discount the loyalty engine at the back end. So, this entire value network is something which has been formed, and each one of these elements are talking to each other in this value network. From a consumer standpoint, the consumers pick and choose the relevant touch points in the value network, which they think is optimal and convenient for them. From a brand standpoint, I feel the brands need to dial up on these partnerships in the value network, depending upon the target segment and the categories they are present in. So all in all, my thing is that if consumers and brands who are creative enough to leverage and find out the relevant touch points in the value network will come out as winners during this festive season.
Right. So partnerships is key, partnerships between brands, between
Platforms.
the different points in the consumer journey makes a winning combination, is what I understand from what you're saying. Pankaj, you've been talking a lot about digital readiness, and digital readiness is a key element of marketing, and that has been something which you have been also driving, is what I understand. Would you be able to share a bit about your brand's journey in that direction, and driving how you've been working towards personalization as such in your journey as a brand?
Right. So Jayesh, we started our journey way long back than what COVID did to most of the people, from the marketing fraternity. And the journey started way back in 2015, 2016, and from setting up e-commerce understanding and capabilities, and eventually setting up the entire e-commerce business unit in 2017 and 18. 19 for us, was more of, investing behind our own digital commerce assets. Yeah. So thankfully, we launched our own D2C engines much before March 2020, and we were not dependent on the reason to launch a direct-to-consumer platform because pandemic hit us, and there was a need to do it. We had realized the importance of it long back, and we started investing behind the tech part of it, behind the understanding of what consumer wants from brand owners and companies like us. And like Neeraj mentioned at the start of the session, that a lot of investments was going behind developing our own understanding on first party data and data as a whole. Yeah. And you would appreciate, for a CPG company, first party data was never an interest, or was not in the scheme of things where we would connect with consumers in a way that an automobile company would do, which is like direct in that sense. But we realized the importance of understanding our own consumer, her behavior, her affinity, what kind of content she's consuming, where is she spending time, what kind of, and we were also seeing the switch which was happening from traditional ways of consuming media to more evolved, more newer ways of consuming content in that sense. So all of this gave us an understanding that this is the space we need to understand, and hence because we had deeper understanding of our consumer, we could actually do personalization at scale for our consumers. So whether I am reaching out to an audience who's sitting in Assam or West Bengal or versus Gujarat or Maharashtra, my communication is going to be very, very different, not literally translating what I would have done a Hindi TVC or a key thematic at a pan-India level. So personalization became really important for us, and we kept really double-clicking on every aspect of it, whether it is going vernacular, whether it is creating multiple assets, whether it is understanding what kind of affinity my consumer has. So basis that, we started investing behind a lot on personalization, and as we see, we had done it in 2020 on a couple of our categories out of 8 odd categories. This year we are doing personalization at scale and communication which is more targeted, which is more niche, which is more micro market approach driven across our all categories, and we are seeing some really, really interesting and important outcomes of this strategy.
That's wonderful to hear, Pankaj. I'm sure that journey, I know I'm a partner in that journey, so I know how much of work is going on around that. And surely that is a direction that I think a lot of people have started thinking now in terms of communication, which is much more pinpointed and not, the generic communication.
One, of course, pinpointed, but it needs to be at scale also, because, I can do a lot of micro marketing. I can do, a marketing specific to Jayesh or Tarun or Puneet or Neeraj. But
Right.
if I'm not able to do at scale, then for a CPG company who reaches out to hundreds of millions of users, it is of no use.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so it needs to be at scale also at the same time.
True that. So, okay, so I know, Tarun, actually, when you started off, you said, probably I'll be more of a user. I'm more of a user, which I don't believe truly. I think you have evolved quite a lot as a marketer from the Skoda point of view. I would like to hear from you, how has mobile, the handset been, or consumption on mobile, let's just take it as mobile, been part of your brand's journey? How has it started, contributing to the auto consumer's journey and your outlook towards the auto consumer as such? Can you throw some light on your thought on?
Sure. So Jayesh, you understand that automotive as a category is a very touch and feel category. Buying a car, which is such a heavy expense, it's the second most expensive thing you buy after a house in most cases. And it's a very touch and feel category. You want to touch the car, test drive the car. You have to be happy about what you're buying. Now, doing this on a device is a very difficult challenge. And that has been our challenge over the last 1.5 years. How to take this very, very, brick and mortar business, very touch and feel business, and take it on your handheld device. And like Pankaj also mentioned, we had started on certain of our transformation earlier than the 2020 pandemic. What the pandemic did was accelerate that. For instance, I'll give an example that we had embarked upon what I call e-commerce light is booking your car online. Choosing the model, choosing the color, choosing the engine, choosing the variant, and then choosing your dealer, and then making a payment and booking your car. Now, this needed a lot of work in the background because especially for new models where you haven't seen or touched the car, how do I convince you that this is the right car for you? So we started doing a lot of stuff because what we also observed was that the entire car buying journey has shifted to digital. Like it or not, it has become digital. What used to be a very physical activity has become digital now. We came up with certain things to facilitate this whole process because at the heart of our business, we realize it's customer convenience, which is most important. If my customer cannot come to the showroom, can I take the showroom to the customer? But when I say that, a whole lot of things open up, right from contactless virtual demos. Now, customers were not willing to come to the showrooms, even in cities where showrooms had opened up. So we started something called the contactless virtual demo, where the customer could request us for a demo and a sales consultant at a dealership would do a full video demo of what he would have done otherwise physically. Then I mentioned already online booking. So you don't have to visit the dealership to book your car. You can do it sitting in your house, in your office, on a device. Then making payments. You can make payments from home, which earlier was not done in the automotive industry about 2.5 years back, was not done. So a whole lot of these things have actually transformed the way automotive does business across the world. And that's what we did. Certain things we accelerated, certain things we had to invent for ourselves. But it's been good, it's worked for us, and it's here to stay. That's what we believe.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful to hear. I remember about 3 or 4 years back, I think one of the automobile giants had launched one of their SUVs online with one of the e-commerce partners. I don't know how that fared though, but if I'm not mistaken, that was GM with their largest segment SUV that they had launched on.
Mahindra had also done that. It's a good story. It's a good story because it may be tomorrow that all cars will be sold online, all payments, full payments will be made online. As familiarity with the model increases, if your cousin or a friend has a particular model which you don't need to test drive, I think we can deliver it to you at home. I think we can partner with one of these large e-commerce sites and they will pick it up from our warehouses and deliver at your home in the color of your choice at the time of your choice. It's possible. It will happen. It will happen. And you will be helping us do that.
That would be a wonderful transformation to see because I personally I still don't get the feel of a car unless I sit in a car. And I'll be surprised to see if it, I mean, I'm sure it is going to eventually happen.
So Jayesh, there are two things to it. You can still feel the car. I will send it home for you to test drive. You don't have to come to the showroom. See, that's the transformation you're talking about. Of course, it's a physical thing. We can facilitate that without you having to meet a single person from my side. You understand what I mean?
Right.
And then deliver the car of your choice at your doorstep.
Right. So moving on. So I think taking from there, this actually talks about, having technology innovations which can cater to this particular problem statement, which is taking a demo from the showroom to the home. Is it integration through an augmented reality? Is there an augmented reality AR demo that is possible? How can you give that feel? And of course, then leading the person or rather getting the demo home with a real driver or the real car to be driven at home. That's the next step, of course. Maybe from an emerging technology standpoint, Neeraj, you might have been experimenting with such stuff in 2020, and probably you have some things lined up for 2021 as well. Would you want to shed some light in the direction in which you are taking the consumer as through an experience journey on mobile or on digital, which is not possible in the real world?
Absolutely. I think what Tarun mentioned about Mahindra, we were one of the early guys to actually land an immersive experience with Anand Mahindra unveiling the car and the cheetah jumping on top of it. It was a activation which was being done by JWT long back. One of the first examples in that space. So over the years, we've been doing a lot of these emerging tech solutions in bits and pieces, as I said, whether it's a role of technology on rural marketing or conversational AI in all three formats, text, voice, and video, or immersive technology, which is right from augmented reality to virtual reality, and now mixed reality with Geo launching mixed reality glasses, right? So that's the space now. When we initially started building solutions in 2019, it was more focused on a blended solution, which was going hand in hand with activation. Go to 2020 and the activation gets completely removed, right? So over the air kind of a solution took a leapfrog. So I'll just give you a classic example of a rural marketing use case. And we partner with a lot of these global donors to activate a lot of door-to-door activations in rural pockets where our teams used to go and coach them on a particular health and hygiene behavior. And then they are constantly in touch with those audiences. Now with COVID coming in, suddenly we saw these promoters are unable to visit these audiences out there. So now we have a technology wherein we can create a virtual avatar, like a make your own bot. So every promoter becomes a virtual bot and the link is being sent to those guys they were suddenly visiting. So Neeraj was visiting them every day or every week on day-to-day basis. Now because of COVID, there's a cutoff. So I create Neeraj's virtual avatar, which goes and talks to, and that's AI enabled, obviously, again, that goes and constantly talks to these guys in rural pockets. Then we create interventions on voice where constantly we keep in touch with them through regular reminders. Now, there's a work which we're doing for a global donor, which is focusing on vaccination, health, and hygiene for kids. So we are constantly keeping in touch with mothers through a voice call. We have given them numbers where they can call in, they can get a lot of health and hygiene information around COVID. So this one technology intervention is something which is really taken off in rural pockets of India. There was another product which we launched called M-Samvad, which was like a Hindi dialogue platform. So most of the guys in rural marketing, 65% of them are on feature phone. So even if you have the most popular celebrity, how do you get them to talk to rural audiences who are on a 200 rupee phone without any internet? So we created this Hindi dialogue platform, which was pretty much inspired by PM Modi. PM Ke Man Ki Baat is a podcast platform, but used to run this service called Main Bhi Chaukidar. If you remember that service wherein you got 25 lakh people on a recorded line and they had a Q&A going. So similar platform we created in 2019 for GSK when we got Ravi Kishan and thousands of mother on a M-Samvad platform where they can ask questions and he can answer back. So 2020, we saw almost like 20 plus deployments on this platform because there was a complete cutoff. So if I were to get a Sarpanch on a call with mothers out there in the rural market and convey an important message, run a Q&A, that product works for me. Or Punjab government is working with us recently on the stubble burning issue, which we have right now in Punjab which is causing pollution in the neighboring markets. So we got Punjab government's agricultural expert on a call. We get thousands of farmers. We get a runtime Q&A going with them on the Happy Seeder program. Fasal kaise jalayen ki neighboring markets mein pollution na ho, right? So that's the kind of intervention which we saw on the rural marketing space. When it comes to urban marketing space and the conversational AI bit, which I was talking about earlier, there are a lot of solutions which are getting created on WhatsApp now. WhatsApp is pretty much equivalent to smartphone base in India. So anything you do on WhatsApp, and that points at what Pankaj also mentioned, that you're looking at scale, right? And the most scalable platform today, when in terms of driving conversations, becomes WhatsApp out there. And a lot of brands, if you see today, whether it's an e-com brand, they're using WhatsApp as a platform. Or Tarun mentioned about automobile, WhatsApp can go hand in hand and drive that conversational AI journey, which again drives consideration and eventually a purchase intent. So by the time the guy reaches on your destination, he's more or less convinced because AI out there is driving those conversations for you. And some of the unique examples which we saw is when people are locked up at home, WhatsApp became a recipe bot. Suddenly for a brand who's focusing on creating a recipe, WhatsApp became their buddy out there. Or WhatsApp became your fitness bot. So it gives you a lot of information coming out there on fitness. Or beauty bot. For example, we run a lot of services which are one-on-one bots, we call it. So it starts with a bot conversation, and then there are actual humans sitting out there on the panel selling the products. And beauty is a classic example. You've done something for Lakme, which is Lakme Beauty Advisor, where there are actual humans sitting out there exchanging notes with audiences. And WhatsApp now has WhatsApp Pay support, UPI to drive transactions as well. And
But-
lastly, on the immersive technology, and again, just pointing back to a complete virtual experience of the car, or we are seeing a lot of examples now where shoe brands are using it because stores are closed. So virtually you can put your leg on a shoe, try it out, and then eventually end up buying online. So those are the kind of experiences which are building up now.
Great, Neeraj. Thanks. I'm sure we have also worked together on a few of those immersive experiences. I remember the voice tech for one of the automobile clients that we did together. So
Yeah.
yes, the transformation is definitely happening. Now let me just shift our focus back to the festive season. I know festive season for India is like a, I mean, I come from, I have had a background in the consumer durables industry, and 40% of the entire marketing monies, or maybe even 50% of the entire marketing monies used to be spent during the festive season, because close to about 50% of the sales used to be happening in festive season. And that's true for consumer durables. That's true a lot for lifestyle products. It's true for, automobiles for sure. And some of the key insights that Rajesh talked about, Pantina talked about today in the insights report that he shared some time back, was also with regards to the way consumers have started looking at this festive. This festive is obviously different from the earlier festives that we had. Maybe 2020, we thought we were getting back on track, but with 2020, 2021, the second wave, things really got derailed. And a lot of people have put a lot of their purchasing plans, had put a lot of their purchasing plans on the back burner, because this time the second wave seemed to be a lot more potent. People were worried. You had seen people becoming a lot more cautious and all that. But with the second wave kind of stabilizing, or rather ebbing away, we are in the tail end of the wave. And while initially there was a lot of concern that there might be a third wave, it seems to be beyond us now. At least, thankfully, touch wood, let's hope it doesn't happen. But the vaccination going on full drive, and we getting to a level where we have the infection rate has come down, the total positivity rate has come down to less than 1% in most of the places. The survey that Inmobi did in the month of August saw a lot of renewed energy, or rather a lot of positivity around the festive season. And I'm sure you also have those inputs around that. So I would like to hear from each of you, how are you looking at this festive season, and how is this festive season going to pan out for specific industries? What's your thought on that?
So what was coming at is in your insight report, which is had an interesting fact check, which was basically profiling your consumers across 3 different categories. Okay, so one was bargain hunters. Now these are the guys who are waiting for the right opportunity to buy, and it's got a female skew. Then there are category hunters. These are the guys who know which category to buy, but they're still not sure of the brand and the product you want to buy. And the third one was basically your brand lovers who are clear about the product and the categories they want to buy. Now, if you look at all these 3 profiles, there are 2 commonalities which comes across, right? Which again, I'm going back to your report itself, which is the advent of the shopping journey. So there is a lot of advancement in the shopping journey towards the festive season. People today have started on deciding or purchasing or going about their shopping journey much before the festive season. For example, the report suggested sometime in September, which is possibly true for a Mumbaiker like me, because at the advent of Ganesh Chaturthi, basically your entire season of festival starts, correct? So that is one commonality. So basically people have more time to explore and deep dive and detail out things before they decide what to buy. The second commonality, which I feel, is the median age of the buyers. Now, if you look at the median age of the buyers is 25 to 40, or at max can be said at 20 to 40. Now, this is a bang on millennial cohort. Okay. Now, if you deep dive into the millennial cohort and understand their interests or consumption patterns or content consumption patterns over the past 2 years, and if you see the kind of hashtags that they've been consuming, they basically fall into these 5 buckets, which is your travel, music, fashion, health, and fitness, and gaming. Right? If brands are able to leverage these passion points and package the value proposition either in form of experiences or gratification, exclusive merchandise, lucky draw, or any format which basically which will bring interest in the consumer cohort, there are two things which will happen. One is it will bring the brand closer to the consumer from a brand F&D point of view. And secondly, for the consumers, it's easier to take a quicker decision or skew the decision in the favor of the brand. So I feel, I think the report is very insightful. Understanding the passion points for the relevant target segment is possibly the key to be differentiated in a cluttered, festive environment, is where I would like to say.
Thanks, Puneet. I totally understand. Passion points, things we have not really thought about, and probably each of these different types of consumer and how to position, or rather how to go after these consumers, the kind of partnership that might work for those particular consumer segments. That is something very interesting, which I'm sure you will be looking at. Pankaj, that brings us to the same point of, again, personalization, because festive is massive. It's for everybody. It's not just for one type of people. You have Dasaras, which is more skewed towards the east. You have Diwali, you have Ganpati in the west. And of course, you have things like Onam in the south and so on and so forth. Well, some of them are already are done with. We still have the longer festive season going on. How do you look at the journey around personalization and festive? Or how are you combining the two to cater to these different segments? How do you see that personalization happening in the festive background?
Yeah. So let me start with a couple of pointers here, which will talk about festive as a season. For most of the categories, festive becomes the fifth and the most important quarter for a lot of industry. Yeah, generally you talk about 4 quarters, and every quarter on quarter your results and stuff. This is one of the most important quarters for most of the categories, and CPG is it's one of the important quarters for CPG category as well. Yeah, that's point number one. Point number two, I was talking to my colleagues and people from media and advertising industry. September and October has been, especially from the TV media industry point of view, it's a mad rush of advertisers pumping in money, and there are the inventory is not available. So that's the another. So clearly, while the pandemic is has impacted the way people are shopping and going to shop, but clearly there is a huge sentiment for this festivity, like every year. But versus last year, this year is going to be definitely far more exciting from shopper and brand owner point of view. Coming back to how CPG industry is looking at it, the third point which I want to make, and which could be a bit of a dampener here. If you see wholesale index price, it's at 11.4% inflation. The commodity pricing, palm oil, which is one of the key ingredient in FMCG and CPG category, is at the highest in last 12 years. Okay, so whatever people are making, the COGS or the investment on input is far higher than what we are commanding on selling it. So while that's also a point to be noted from FMCG and CPG company point of view. So all in all, if you look at it, there is huge sentiment which is going on for festive season. It's one of the most important quarter. People are going to invest and buy a lot during this time around, but at the same time, there are some challenges. Coming back to the personalization I was talking about earlier also, this season, and it's a mix of 2 seasons for us. One is, of course, for household insecticide category, which is, which starts in July, goes on till November, December. And of course, there is festivities. So, hair color as another category, and not hair color, hair category is big for us in this season. So for both these categories, if you look at it, we have P1 market, P2 markets, and P3 markets. And if you look at it, South, East, and West, they are dependent on multiple languages. Yeah, so I need to have my cultural nuance going right for Tamil Nadu as a market versus Kerala as a market versus Andhra Pradesh as a market. Also, the communication which I'm talking in Punjab and showing a Punjabi kudi with a good going on in the communication, I can't be showing that picture in my communication and putting it in Tamil Nadu. By the way, kudi means in Tamil Nadu, you may know it, drinking. So I can't. I mean, and those challenges are there, and there are mistakes people do. But at the same time, I'm saying that when you're looking at personalization scale, and especially in CPG category, you need to go really deep, and you need to really make it at scale, and that's what we are doing, both for HI category and hair care and hair coloring category. And we have our own influencer marketing and piece going on for West Bengal versus Maharashtra versus Andhra Pradesh and stuff. That's how we are building on brand recall at that point. And Puneet spoke about 3 different cohorts of consumers and brand lovers. Of course, they know what kind of brand they want and why they want that brand. And hence, it's extremely important for a CPG owner to keep reminding about the brand, and of course, be on top of mind. Hence, you need to keep on doing. And then I strongly believe that personalization plays an important role there as well.
Pankaj, you talked about scale, and I think that's one of the important things, especially for the category that you drive. Unless and until you are able to reach to a certain level, even personalization will not matter. It will not take you anywhere. And on the same lines, Puneet was also talking about passion points. If you remember, the different passions like music or gaming, and that brings me to a very interesting piece of, a piece which I wanted to touch upon. We have seen, we have always had passion around cricket. Right, India has always been a lot of investments have been made, marketing dollars have been invested around cricket as such. But today we see, especially the millennials, the younger generation, the Gen Z and all, we see a lot more, time being spent around online gaming. It is on mobile, and to be honest, in fact, InMobi had brought out a gaming report about a few months back, and it is quite insightful to understand that it is not anymore the millennials only that are playing. In this period of this pandemic, the downloads, India has become the highest, or the country with the highest amount of downloads of games. So what's your take on such passion points? Because that also brings in the element of personalization a lot more easier, because the type of games, the kind of, you have different types of games, the kind of moment you can give in. There is in-game which can be done. There's a lot of branding opportunities in-game, so on and so forth. Have you really started exploring those directions in terms of, looking at your consumer and seeing whether that is a personalized space you want to get into?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, Jayesh. There is, and in fact, we've been doing that for last 2 years, okay? If you look at it, the kind of categories we have a strong role to play. Most of my TG fall under 25 to 44 female audience group, and especially mothers. And like you said, rightly said, that, a lot of gaming and casual gaming is being driven by non-millennial, non-young or Gen Z generation. And, a lot of reports, in your report also said that a large part of casual gaming downloads happened by the women folk, and they've been one of the bigger consumers of online gaming. So 100% we are investing a lot behind these passion points and these new trends which are coming, both from reaching out to the audience in the context where she is interested in, and at the same time ensuring that there is some bit of personalization happening. Yeah, you spoke about cricket. We do invest a lot on cricket as well, but what we have done this time around, we have changed it from what we were doing in last few years, is that we are going behind the cricket loving audience. I am not going behind the inventory. I am done with doing inventory kind of approach, and genuinely that's the approach which we have taken last 18 months. I'm going behind the audience. My audience could be anywhere. I don't need to be really fussy about it. It needs to be on a particular platform where cricket is happening. Of course, live streaming is a different ball game altogether. But if my audience is interested in cricket content, and that context I know, And I know this particular audience is also there on various platforms. Those platforms could be anywhere. I'm interested in reaching out to that particular audience. I'm not interested in which inventory or which platform. So we have taken this particularly different route this time around, that I will be going behind cricket as a genre, and I'll be going behind that particular audience who's consuming cricket in a big way, rather than tying myself down with a large platform with massive inflated rates and stuff. We are not, and I can tell you, we are seeing immense response, immense engagement, and greater efficiencies. And at the same time, I'm reaching out to the same audience multiple times. So we are clear about it. We have cracked that model. At least it's working for us.
Totally, Pankaj. I'm sure the ROAS will be much better when you go after the audience rather than going after the platform per se, or a particular, inventory per se. That's definitely.
In no way I'm saying cricket is not it's one of the most important platform and genre to reach out to your audience. But where do you reach out is, you need to figure it out.
Just wanted to add one more point, which Pankaj mentioned on cricket inventory and targeting cricket enthusiasts and not a property per se. So in this space, we are doing a lot of interesting work, which is use of AI, which sits on top of the media inventory and makes those conversations on cricket very engaging. The classic example is the work which we did on Boost Stamina Meter. So for every ball which is being bowled in the stadium, there is 12 movements which are happening on the field. Somebody will go and fetch the ball, the wicketkeeper moves, the bowler is bowling, the batsman is moving the bat. So basically, on every movement which is happening by a player, we give them ranking. And that's the stamina score which gets announced by the leading cricket enthusiasts on the television as well, right? So we are making those cricketing conversations more conversational by use of AI. So that's one space which is picking up, not just targeting the cricket enthusiasts, but also layering AI on top of it and making that the millions of dollars which you guys are spending more engaging out there.
Yep.
Yeah. By the way, this particular campaign was the only campaign from India which made it to WAC this year. That's a super proud moment for us.
Absolutely. So moving on from cricket and gaming, coming back to our automobile sector, festive again. And what I wanted to understand, Tarun, was basically, what are you planning this festive? Is there something different? Considering the situation, you've experimented with a few things. You talked about how virtual demos and extended demos can be looked at. Is there something which you have tried out, or in the process of trying out? I'm sure if there are confidentiality clauses, please don't mention it.
I can mention that. So Jayesh, as you realize, 2 months back we launched the Skoda Kushaq, our homegrown SUV, which is a product designed in India, for India, engineered in India, which is actually our first foray into the mass market.
Right.
Because we've been very niche. So niche that we are only available in 65 locations across the country. As of today, in less than a year, we are at 130 locations. So we have already doubled our geographical spread in this country. And because of that, we are also reaching markets and cities so where we've never been there before. For us in this festive season, brand awareness is as important as hyper localization and personalization, which happens. So this time the festive season is very different for me. Pankaj was talking about cricket. So I am buying a lot of inventory on cricket simply because I need to be known in those cities. I've never been there before. Now, Godrej as a brand has been around for 150 odd years in this country. Everybody knows it. I am still not known in many towns in India. So my task has become much wider. On one hand, I have to increase my brand awareness in cities where I've not been there before. And on the other hand, I have to do hyper personalization where, down to the level of the color and the engine and the variants and all those things, I have to find the right person who goes for that kind of a car. So much so that this is the first time that we've done that. I'm running my campaigns in 12 languages, which a brand like Skoda wouldn't have done before because I did not need it now. I'm doing massive hyperlocal and vernacular in digital because we've realized And this is a process of learning. We've realized that our audiences in most of the states outside the metro cities, and now that they're a non-metro brand also, are more comfortable in their languages. I have to talk to them in their language. That has been a great learning over the last year and a half for a brand like ours. So that's how it is. With a new product, this festive season is super important for us, as you can realize, because like you rightly said, this is going to be quarter 5 for us, for sure.
True, it's for most of the people around, and the missing quarter 2 is going to be replaced by this quarter 5, is what I believe, because quarter 2 definitely went for a toss for a lot of categories specifically. But I'm just taking away from that point you made, Tarun, which is with regards to Vernac and the languages that India speaks. India speaks 1,000 languages, and when you look at it today, offhand, we might all remember about 4 or 5 OTT apps which are catering to maybe about 3 or 4 languages. But today, I am engaged, as an InMobi is engaged with we are engaging with close to about 50, 54 OTT apps. And you would be surprised with the number of Vernac OTT apps. We might not get the scale, but when you look at it combined, they have the scale. And that's something which it's a very interesting point that you made, because finally consumption is as per the consumer. It is not just what is it that you're serving, it is also what the consumer wants to consume. So one point you definitely made, which makes a lot of sense, is to go there. But then are there ways in which we can reach them, like Puneet was mentioning, at the point of passion? So like, for example, if somebody is an avid gamer, the avid gamer could be from a tier 1, it could be from a tier 2, or it could be from some tier 3 town in, say, a distant district in Kerala, for all you know. So getting to that person, talking to that person in that moment where he's engaging with something he's passionate about, that is something which I think a lot of marketers have started to do. And I'm sure you would also be exploring that. That's great insights, Tarun. I really like the fact that you're going after the languages part, and I'm also seeing, let's see what we also need to look at. Going on to Neeraj, I just wanted to understand, Neeraj, we have been talking about festive. You talked about 2019, how you were prepared. You came to 2020, you had a lot of innovations that you tried out. What is in store for 2021? What are the things that you're experimenting with? What are the challenges that you're trying to overcome this festive? Do you have some examples that you would have done? Maybe they're not executed yet. Maybe you don't want to share it. That's up to you. But at least give an idea and direction of what you are going to be doing this festive.
Sure, Jayesh. Let me just round it up with some examples. In the beginning of the year, I think the Holi was a month where it was the dark phase again. The wave 2 kicked in. But there's a lot of interesting work which we did on the creative side. So some of the brands were very active on Holi as a festival, but they couldn't do much in this particular phase because it was, as I said, it was a dark month out there. So we partnered with an e-com player and we said, what if the brand cannot reach, but brand can get people together even remotely. So if you end up buying an SKU worth 200 rupee plus, there's a color, the Holi color, which goes in as part of that shopping which you have done. So you share colors is what we eventually landed. So what, you cannot meet, but you can gift colors out there. So there was one very interesting use case which we landed earlier this year, which was at the peak of COVID. And moving on, we did some really interesting work on this Valentine's Day as well, wherein we did something really cool on Alexa, where lovers can actually exchange a lot of notes with Alexa, the AI machine, and they can get a lot of interesting content from them. Not just that, they can actually connect to Amazon shopping app and actually transact and book a Cadbury Silk from a shopping app, which gets couriered back to them. So that's one of the early examples of how technology was being leveraged on voice assistant to create an experience out there. Now, as we speak, there are a lot of creative work which is happening, and a lot of brands are cognizant of the fact that social distancing remains a key area. So all the creative is pretty much focusing on that segment, that whatever tech solutions you guys are going to be coming up with, just see to it that in this festive, which is going to be kicking in now, the social distancing communication is being clearly highlighted. And one of the point which Pankaj mentioned, which was on personalization, and now the world is moving towards cookieless environment, and more and more brands are looking at creating the first party database. And the only way to engage with those audiences is ad personalization. So now again, in this space, we are doing really interesting work by using technologies like voice synthesis and video synthesis. The classic example, which we landed for Cadbury's, which was this Raksha Bandhan, where we hired Hrithik Roshan and we kind of created Hrithik Roshan's clone. So every person, and through connected packaging, so you scan a QR code, there's a page which opens up, you enter your brother's number or his name and the sister's name, and there goes a video which gets created. Hrithik Roshan's personalized video greeting you, right? So it's a connected packaging journey which we created using video synthesis as a technology. So a lot of these tech interventions on ad personalization are also moving in. We're quickly learning and we're trying and deploying a lot of solutions in this space.
I think DCO is something which needs another hour of discussion, probably. Maybe we should get engaged on another panel like this.
Absolutely.
But great insights. Thanks everyone for being on the panel. And it's amazing to see how the transformation has been. And it's also very interesting to see that this festive, the kind of positivity that I'm seeing, even from leaders like you guys, everyone seems to be quite positive about this. While Pankaj did bring about the challenge on the palm oil front, and even on the automobile sector, we have some challenges on the supply side. But having said that, I think we are all looking forward to a festive which is going to turn us around for the missing Q2 with a Q5, which is likely said. Let's see how this pans out, and yeah, I'm really hopeful that this actually is the turning point for most of the industries which have been going through a lot of bad times. Thanks once again for joining. It was great having all of you and the wonderful insights that you shared. Look forward to interacting with you again on such panels further on. Thank you.
Thank you
Thanks.
so much.